Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are diving deep into the world of spiritual healing to look at a supplication, or a wazifa, that Professor Abdullah Bhatti says is one of the most powerful tools you could ever have. This is the story of Nade Ali. Okay, so we're starting off with a pretty intense statement from the source. This isn't just some casual advice. According to Professor Bhatti, if you're on a spiritual path, having this wazifa isn't just a nice to have. Nope, it's framed as absolutely essential for your survival and success. And there's a big reason for that intensity. You see, in the source material, they don't just call it a wazifa. It's called wazifin ka bachao wazifa, which literally means the king of all wazifas. It's supposed to be the ultimate spiritual master key. And the kind of power we're talking about here is just immense. This isn't just about protecting yourself. The source claims that Nade Ali gives you actual dominion, control, over things like jinn and black magic. And it doesn't stop there. That control is said to extend into the real world, letting you influence situations and even the way other people see you. But, how does someone develop such a strong belief in something like this? Well, for Professor Bhatti, this wasn't just some academic theory. It came directly from his own personal experience, right in the middle of a crisis in his own work. So picture this. He was out there trying to help people, but he hit a wall. He came up against these spiritual problems, these afflictions that were so powerful that his entire spiritual toolkit just wasn't enough. He was left feeling totally helpless and knew he needed something much, much stronger. And that brings us to a really crucial concept in this whole tradition, ijazat. See, you can't just read about something this powerful in a book and decide to start doing it. Ijazat is the official spiritual permission. It's a kind of authority and blessing that has to be handed down from a real teacher. It's literally the key that unlocks the whole practice. And this right here was the turning point. When Professor Bhatti went to his spiritual mentors, desperate for help, the answer he got was completely unanimous. They didn't give him a long list of things to try. Every single one of them pointed to one single ultimate solution, and they all gave him the ijazat to use it. Nade Ali. So what is it that makes this one supplication so incredibly powerful? Why is this the one that's considered the final answer? Well, according to the source, the secret is a combination of both spiritual and historical power. So here you can see the two pillars holding up this wazifa's power. On the one side, you have the spiritual engine. When you recite it, it's believed to summon legions of allied jinn who are loyal to Imam Ali. And they basically go to battle for you against whatever is causing the problem. And on the other side, you have this incredible divine origin story, where it was revealed at one of the most critical moments in history. This timeline really takes us right into that historic moment. The Muslim army is stuck. They're at a total stalemate at the fortress of Kibar. Winning looks impossible. And then a divine revelation comes down. The angel Jibril delivers the words of Nade Ali to the prophet. The prophet then gives the battle flag and these powerful words to Imam Ali, who leads the charge and pulls off the seemingly impossible victory. A victory so profound it was said that even the enemy's astrologers saw the stars themselves shift in the sky. I mean, that is a powerful origin story. But does that kind of power really work in the modern world? Especially when you're up against a total skeptic? Well, the source gives us this fantastic anecdote that puts that very question to the test. So the scene is set. You've got Professor Bhatti, the spiritual practitioner, and he's confronted by a skeptic, a Christian priest named Jacob. And Jacob isn't just doubtful. He thinks the entire spiritual world is a total fraud. And he doesn't just want to debate it, he demands concrete, tangible proof. And here it is, the challenge, laid out in very specific, measurable terms. The priest says, look, there's a young woman in my church who suffers from terrible seizures. You prove your power, make her fits stop for just 3 days, and I'll believe you. The test couldn't be clearer, and the stakes are really high. Now, what's so incredible is how Professor Bhatti responds to this. He doesn't just say, okay, challenge accepted. He raises the stakes like you wouldn't believe. The priest asked for 3 days of relief. The professor, brimming with confidence in Nade Ali, promised a permanent, lifelong cure. And the result? Well, the woman's fits stopped. Not just for 3 days, but for good. A month later, that same priest, Jacob, came back. But he wasn't there to argue. He was there to concede. He had to admit that the young woman was totally, permanently cured, and that he had seen a power he simply could not deny. So after hearing about these incredible powers and these amazing stories, the next question is obvious, right? How do you actually do it? Well, the source material is very specific about the methods and the rules you have to follow. The practice itself has different levels of commitment. You could recite it 111 times a day for 120 days, or you could do a more intense daily practice of 313 times. But the method that Professor Bhatti himself used was the most demanding of all. 1,100 times a day for 41 days straight, and then continuing a daily practice for the rest of his life. But listen, it's not just about saying the words. The practice demands a really high level of personal discipline. According to the source, for this to work, you have to follow some strict rules. That means no meat of any kind, no raw onion or garlic, and you have to maintain a constant state of ritual purity, both physically and spiritually. And finally, after laying out this incredible power and the serious discipline it takes to get it, the source doesn't end with a promise of glory. It ends with a really serious ethical warning. And this gets to the absolute heart of the matter, your intention. This power is not meant to be a tool for your own personal gain, for what the source calls lutmar, which is like exploitation or plunder. The benefits are tied directly to the intention of khidmat khalq, serving humanity. If you try to use it for selfish reasons, you risk losing its power altogether. So the source presents this fascinating case for a truly powerful spiritual tool, but it also leaves us with a much deeper question about power itself. When we go looking for power, what's the real price, or the real reward, of the intention we bring with us? Definitely something to think about.